How's everyone doing? So last week we smartened our AI application, the Smart Experience Tracker, and we created a couple of AI walkers and also did a very basic version of what the query expenses walker would look like. So today the plan is to smarten it a little bit more. We'll be implementing a bit more advanced version of our query expenses walker and we will also run a few tests to make sure that our endpoints are working as expected, and if time permits we'll do a full run of our application, so stay tuned for that. So last week we faced an issue with the BiLLM. So if you can remember correctly, the latest implementation of the BiLLM is we need to import it with this .lib suffix, right? And we faced an issue where this was not recognized. So the fix for that was you just need to uninstall and reinstall Jacklang and BiLLM, and then the problem will disappear. So let me just, before we start on anything, let me just do a few jack runs. So if you remember this command jack run main.jack. So let's see if there are any issues that come up. Okay, that's fine. Let's try maybe the AI utils file. I think the AI utils file was the faulty one, which showed that this bylam.lib module didn't exist, but it's working. And finally, our utils.jack file. So yeah, it's a very pretty simple fix. This release was it's just a few weeks old, and that's why there was a bit of a problem there. But if you run into that error where the bylam.lib is not being not found, just uninstall and reinstall Jacklang and bylam at the same time. Cool. All right. So um, this is what we did last week. If I go over to our main.jack file, we created some walkers, right? Add expense from image where, when you give a receipt, it's going to extract the details and it'll add it to the expense node. And also we had like a natural language. So if you just give a text, it will automatically update the expense onto the expense tracker. So you don't have to fill in fields manually. You can just speak into your phone or, type it out, and that's it. Cool. And this walker, query expenses walker, we did a very basic implementation, right? But if you notice, there are so many operators here, right? And it's a lot of hard-coded logic, which does not make sense to do when using an AI-first architecture like the Jaseki stack, right? The whole point of using Jaseki stack is to eliminate these, prompts, these hard-coded logic, and so on. You trust the BiLLM model or the semantic objects to actually take care of everything. Right. So let's kind of get rid of all of this code for now, right? Um, right. So what we're going to do is let's yeah. So as you know, we are going to first of all give it some inputs. So this walker, what it's going to be able to do, it will visit the user node, and then in each category, it will be able to retrieve the expenses, and then it will check. Okay, let's see what has the user asked for, maybe then pass the query. It can be temporal, it can be statistical. We need to consider those aspects as well, like if the user wants to know the last month, the last week, and also whether they want to have a sum of expenses or maybe the average over a period of time. So there are so many ways these queries can, be pushed to the agent, right? So we need to consider an overall picture, like of an overall use case of how the user, a typical person, would like to know on how they spent their money, right? So let's get into it. So for this walker, what I'm going to do is let's say, so this query expenses, obviously there'll be a query involved, yes. And we can also maybe take into consideration, like if we want it to be coherent, have a coherent conversation, we need to also consider like conversation context, right? So conversation context. Sorry, is it date? Yeah. And next, so yes, then we need to visit the user node with the root entry. So we go to the user node, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fetch the expenses. Can fetch expenses. Fetch expenses with. Let me just type it out. So, oops, there. So let me add a comment here. So what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, we're going to collect all the expenses here. And so all expenses, yes. And then for, for category, for expense and expense. Yeah, that's good. So we have the amount, currency, merchant, date, category created at. Yeah, that's fine. And next, what we can do is here we're going to pass the query, right? So we're going to pass the query using AI, and then all right, let's say pass query is equal to, let's take it like that. So self.query. So we are giving a query here, right? And we need to define this function. So what we're going to do here, let's take this function and go over to our AI utils file, and we're going to add it over here. Right, so we have a function here already with an object, query parameters object as well. So I think we need to might have to edit this object to be more maybe comprehensive. So operation like string, fine, right? We can have different stuff like maybe compare, maybe analyze, summarize, etc. And category is fine, date range, amount comparison, merchant. Let's add some, like temporal data. So if like, the user wants to know uh, different kind of things, a temporal filter, okay. Last month, this year, etc. Cool. And also maybe statistical. Yeah, it's fine. And we can also maybe have, if they want to group by category, month. What else can we add for this semantic object? So we want to kind of give, so what we're doing here, why we are defining this object properly is because that, we are not relying on prompt engineering. We are defining a schema here. So any query, it will be passed into a JSON object, and we can feed that into the LLM to get a much more structured output, a better high quality answer. And yeah, I think this is fine for now. Let's also add maybe as conversation context. Conversation context. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's better. It's a dictionary. I think we need to pass that here, right? Self conversation context. So we have conversation context here, and fix that indentation. Yeah, all right. Next, so query parameters. So what can we say here? So let me pass natural language query parameters for expensive structured format for filtering and operations. We can say also, let me just make this a docstring. Include operation type, category, date range. Yeah, I think that should be fine for now. All right, and then the definition of the function pass natural language query. We have the query string. Also, yeah, conversation context, and then query parameters by level. Okay, so yeah, right. Okay, now we have defined this fast natural language query. So I'm going to go back to my main.jack file, and what's next? So once we have passed the query, we need to what do we need to do? We need to process the response, right? Process the response. Okay, so let's see. AI response will be process expense query. Let's just keep it maybe process query response. Yeah, pass query and the all expenses. So we are getting this object here. We are passing that to get it basically enhancing the query into parameters, and we are also passing this all expenses. All right, now we need to define this function. So I'm going to go back into the AI utils.jack and let's define a semantic object. So semantic object for yeah, AI query response something. Right. So object, let's say query response, and what are the attributes you're going to pass? So query response, obviously, it will have way it will have the expenses. Yeah. Let's have the query also as part of the what we are returning. So let's have as query string. Then also we can pass the expenses. Let's keep it before we dive into the actual model's output. And then maybe we can have the actual response. So maybe natural response. Yeah, natural response. Maybe the operation like finding or analyzing, summarizing, whatever. And maybe also let's keep whether the conversation is being tracked, right? As conversation. Yeah. Actually, continuation, whether it's actually, it has context, yes or no. So string. I can even put as a boolean. Let's keep it as string for now, since this is going to be passed by the model, right? And so those are the basic ones, right? So now let's add a few attributes that would represent the statistical side, right? So statistical summaries, right? So we can have maybe a has total amount, has average amount. Let's keep it simple. Oh, it's fine. Yeah. Then maybe has maximum, okay. Min, count. What else can we put? Maybe grouped expenses. Yeah, grouped expenses. So let's actually to make it more to give it more context. I think it'll be better to give a categorical breakdown to the model, right? Grouped context doesn't really seem to be that intuitive, and also maybe a trend analysis overall. So apart from the natural response, also if we can get a trend analysis, it will be useful. So trend analysis, let's keep it that as a string, and maybe some insights in addition to both of that insights. So we keep it as a string. All right. Or we can even keep it as a list of strings, I guess. Yeah. Cool. And so next is the temporal. So temporal data also we need. So temporal analysis, monthly breakdown. Wait, first of all, let's put the start date. Let's see, start date. Yeah, end date, and also we can put can we put maybe something like a temporal description to give an idea of what's going on. String. Yeah, I think that's enough. All right. So it's a kind of a lengthy object. It's a big object, but I think this would do, right? So what's going to happen here is the model is going to is going to respond to this schema. It's a very structured object here. We are going to get all of the analysis as we want. Next, we need to define, yes, the query response. So same query response, structured response for AI-driven expense, including extracted expenses, statistical summaries. Um, yeah. Okay, let's see. Here. Can also analyze. Um, no, it should be able to handle, right, all types of queries, analysis, and summaries. So we define some here. Comparison analysis and summaries. Also uh, provide responses with statistical and temporal context here. Sounds good. All right, let's see how it performs, and later on we can tweak this. It's a bit of a prompt there, but it should be fine, right? And okay, let me fix this indentation. Why is this indentation? Cool. Let's fix that. Right. Let's add, so define, what was the function we defined here? Process query response. I'm going to use that function. Query expenses conversation context. Is it conversation context? So we are passing the query and all expenses. So yeah, we need to get this passed query and expenses list. This is not there because that argument is passed to the pass natural language query, right? We don't have to pass it again for the response. The response, we need the actual expenses and the past format of the query. That's what we want. So yeah, this is okay. It's a list of expenses, right? This will be a list, so passing it here. Yeah, all right. Okay, so we have done that as well. Let me just save the file. Let's go to the main. Let's save this as well. And now, before we, I think that is good, right? So we have now established our query expenses worker. So that's a big deal. And yeah, so once this is done, we need to also, obviously, all of our workers, we need to report the query and the response. So wait, let me see. What happened? What came there actually? Let me see. That. Okay. All right. Can't fetch. So I think there's a small error here. I need to close this. Oh, not bad. Okay, all expenses. Yeah. Okay. So our previous workers also we had to report, right? This is the output of our workers. So this particular worker, the query expenses worker, we are returning the query, self.query and the AI response. But let me just take a look. So at this in this object, this AI response, we might be getting the query as well, right? Yeah. So we have the query being returned as a string. But this query might actually will be the pass query. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, we can use the query as self.query and AI response as AI response. That should be fine. That's fine. Okay, and semicolon here. Okay, there's a syntax error here. It's missing. Should not be there. Yeah, okay. Let's save it. And let's perform some jack runs now. So jack run main jack. So we didn't change the utils file, so I don't think there's a need to again, run that again. So main jack file is fine. Let's run the AI utils.jack file as well. See if everything is in order. Okay, perfect. All right. So now comes the exciting part. Let's just test the system, right? So I'm going to run a jack serve main jack. Okay, so it is using the local EB, right? And now let's go to our browser and test this. We are here. Register ourselves so we can log in. I can't remember my last login, so I'm going to just let's try registering ourselves first. So use that example. Let me just change this to Michael, and the password. Let's give it as password 123. Execute. Okay, that's successfully registered, and then we need to get the token, right? So let's log in and let's try it out. So Michael, and the password is password 123. All right. Execute, and okay, so it's success. Let's take this token and we are going to go up there, authorize, paste it here, authorize, close. Great. Okay, so now we are inside the system and we can go ahead we need to first of all initialize the graph, right? So let's initialize that as well. So our username was Michael and password 123. Okay. Oh, all right. There's a small error. Let's see what's going on here. So there's internal server error saying get current date time is not defined. Oh, I think I know what's going on. I think we did not import these functions into our main.jack script. That's fine. Let's go ahead and do that. Back to you. Yes, you get current date time is not defined. Just shut down the server. And if I go to the very top of our main Jack file, we are only importing OS and the .env, right? So what we need to do is we need to import, first of all, from the utils, import from, yeah, and import from AI utils, extracting spins. Yeah, those are the only ones. So let me just double check. We have already, I think, 4 functions. So extract spins from text, from image, that's 2. Then we have parse natural language query, 3. Query response 4, and this one 5. Okay, actually this one is directly using this function. It's calling that other function. So this function alone should be enough. So this one from image file, yeah, that's the correct one. And import from utils, there are 3. So if we go to our utils file, just save this. There's a small syntax error. Something down here, past query. Why is there an error? Type class string. Okay. So this is actually, I think it's a dictionary, right? Let's see what's going on here. All right. Yeah, I think I know what's going on. This is not a string. This should be, yeah, so query parameters object, right? So query parameters is what we are getting here. Yeah, it's an object. It's not a string. That was the issue. So I think now we should be fine. Yeah, syntax error is gone. Type error. Yeah, and if we open our utils.check file, we have, yeah, I think we're only using those 3 functions. So current date time, get current date, get current month. So we're using the current date time here. We are also using, let's see, get current date, get current month. Yeah, I believe that's about it we're using. Awesome. All right, so let's run the main.jack file again, and let's go back to our browser. Yeah, you can see add expense from image, and you have add expense from text. You can query the expenses as well. So I'm going to say, let's see, it's a string, right? I'm going to give a string here saying exactly what our expense description is. So let's say I had coffee last Monday for $5 at Barista, right? That is my expense, and that's all. I'm going to just pass that. I'm not filling in any fields or anything. And okay, there's another internal server error. Data, it's a type error. Okay, settings.currency requires a class int. Okay, maybe what happened here is I think we have defined our schema in the wrong way. It needs to be given the currency type, not the int type. So let's go back to VS Code and see what happened. This issue wasn't, I think we fixed it earlier a bit, but I don't know, maybe it has got reverted. So yeah, let's just change that. So it should be currency, just currency. We don't want to give a default value, so let's keep it like that. Or maybe let's just keep it at USD. That's fine. And let me just shut down the server again and restart it. Okay, let's go back to our browser now. Already got logged in and I've initialized the graph as well. So what we're going to do next is let's try to an expense from text and see whether if everything is in order. So let's see, add coffee for $5 at barista on the 9th of November. Okay, execute. Let's see if we can get a success. Okay, let's see. Okay, there's another error, unfortunately. Let's see. The type error expense from text object is not subscriptable. This is the case. Okay. I think I know what the issue is. Let's go back to VS Code. Alright, so we are back on VS Code, and as you can see, it's line 336, right? And this is the issue. I think what we need to do is we cannot use this list like subscripted. We have to use in need to have it as expense data dot category. That's since it's an object we're using. And while we are at it, let's also edit the other instances where this could be an issue. So here also I believe we need to go with dot amount. Same with this line as well. Dot currency. Yeah. Also this amount, I think we can use amount USD, right? I mean, I think that's how we defined it. Yeah. So we'll be taking amount underscore USD. So let me edit that correctly. On USD, yeah. And okay, so it looks good. Anywhere else this could be an issue? Let me just quickly check. All right, we're doing the same thing for the add expense from image, so we need to rectify it here as well. Let's do that. Dot amount and autocomplete. Okay, currency, merchant date. Yeah, looks good. Here also we need to yeah, dot category. All right. Anywhere else? Nope. I think we should be good to go. Yeah. These are not objects, so all right. Let me just save this file. And so these are some errors, right, which you cannot quite you won't come across them. It's a simple jack run. Jack run is more like for syntax errors. All right, so let's go back to our browser now. Okay, I think this might be a bit of a problem if we go with underscore USD. The reason being, so when we define this expense data, we are using this walker or rather this AI utility function. And if we check the definition, the object expense from text actually doesn't have an amount underscore USD. So either we have to like have a field, an attribute here saying amount underscore USD, or else we can just simply use this amount. I think, and since we already have currency here, I think it's not needed. Let's just use the amount for now. And okay, wait, did I change this? Yeah, we'll use the amount here, and also let's make sure that we're using it correctly here as well. Amount, and I'm going to save this. Now let's close the server again and run it. See what happens. It's another internal server error. This time it's saying that this list object has no attribute called merchant. Okay, it has no attribute merchant. Well, let's see what's going on over there. VS Code is the problem, I guess. It's in line 362. So it's saying that this list object has no attribute merchant. I think the problem is this, right? So if you remember correctly, sometime back we faced a similar issue, and we were able to resolve it by adding an index 0, like this, right? So for our nodes, we need to use this 0th index. So since we're actually adding an expense node, we need to keep that in mind, and also use this the same logic there as well. So let me just quickly add that and then for this as well. Expense update, and then here also we are adding an expense node, so we need to make sure that it's correctly counted for twice. Sorry. Cool. Okay, so maybe our rails. Looks okay. We are adding any other expense. Okay, we're creating a node here as well. Yeah, so we need to add it here too. Yes, I think that's about it. All right, so I'll save this and now let's restart the server once more. Initialize the graph, let the expense. Let's see what happens. So I think it should work fine now. Let's see. Okay, it's interesting, it's taking a little longer than usual. So ideally we should get that semantic object with all the fields, the attributes saying the merchant, the amount you spend, the currency, the category of the expense, and so on. Okay, all right, great. So we have a success code, and let's see. Expense. So this is the message. This is the natural response from the model saying that it has been added successfully. The merchant, the amount is 5 USD. Category has been taken as other. Okay, maybe we need to be more explicit, about how it should be sent into each category, like food or transport. Let's try to fix that as well. The date is a bit, it's saying it's 2023. Okay, so we need to kind of tell the model, okay, look, you're in 2025, not in 2023. Some small things, but yeah. And it has added the expense several times. I think this is a result of so many nodes. We've created a lot of nodes, but due to certain errors, they were not properly reflected at the end. So these have got stacked up, and this is that's the issue, right? So it's nothing major. We just need to wipe out the database and delete these unnecessary expense nodes, right? So that's great. We have a working system, and now that we have our smart, since we verified the accuracy, the working functionality of our smart expense tracker, the next thing we can do is go ahead and start building on the front end. So with that, this video comes to an end, and please let me know in the comment section what you liked about this video, if you learned anything, and if you have any doubts, please just drop a comment and I will reply to as many of them as I can, and I'll see you in the very next video. Goodbye for now.